Hear that? That's the sound of a patient whose health data is protected from a cyber attack. And that's the sound of a financial system that's digitally secured from bad actors. Right now, there's an invisible war being fought on a digital battlefield that impacts what we do every day. That's why at Peraton, we do the can't be done to help protect the vital systems we rely on. Because if we don't, the alternative is unimaginable. Peraton.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Direct-to-Video Connoisseur. As always, Matt here, and I kind of almost could say, as always, we've got Ty and Brett from Comeuppance Reviews joining us as well. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, we're back again. We can't stop coming on your show.
That's right. Yeah, I think the collaborator term is probably a better one now because I think it's almost like every other episode at this point.
You don't have any other guests besides us now.
Right. Yeah. I had Sean Malloy from I Must Break This podcast on the last one, but I think you guys might have been the last two before that. I think we did we did the video store. We did your video store memories. Mm-hmm. Did we do a list as well? Did we do another list of?
Not on that episode. I think.
I'm trying to remember.
But the last time the guys you guys were on before that, I'm trying to remember if we had another list or if I was doing a list on your show. I know you guys did the Ginty Moore.
We did Bolo.
Bolo, that's right. Bolo, was that on yours?
I believe that was ours. But as I was saying before we started the call, it does start to blur together who was on whose show, who's podcasted. We're even recording right now. It starts to all kind of blend together.
Like, wait, are we doing your show or our show today?
Exactly. Because one of the things too, I know, and I don't know how it is with your guys' show when you have guests on, but usually when somebody is a guest on the podcast, it's really just kind of like some, kind of a couple emails maybe back and forth about what we'll chat about, and then a little bit of advanced stuff, before the call. But a lot of times, like Ty and I will do like a lot of conversation, and then Ty will pass things over to you, Brett, about like, hey, we might talk about this or we might do that. So it's almost like we do kind of more like advanced work than it's almost
we do, yeah. For no subject, we won't say anything with no subject, but we got something cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was a big hit. That's why we are continuing to do that no subject idea, because I think when we first started doing that, we didn't have any plans to make that more than one episode.
That's true. Now we're going to be number 4.
Sure. Yeah, because it got a lot of positive feedback. So so I'm happy to do that. I love those shows.
It's fun, and we got some good ones in the hopper. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about cheaters or store memories, Matt.
Well, yeah. One thing I want to say is the video store memory ones that you guys did on my podcast was one that was really well received, and I think that's like a series that you guys have been doing. I think that a lot of people really enjoy listening to.
Yes,
I
definitely
love doing it. We're hopefully have Mitch on shortly, just some scheduled things. So got some other people.
We might have some other people in the hopper as well. So that series will continue as well into the future.
Yes, absolutely. So you want to talk cheaters? So we're doing the Cheaters cast today.
I wonder how successful a Cheaters cast would be. Like, what would it be like? Do you think it would be like maybe because the episodes are only a half hour? Would that be like what it is? Like just finding like 2 half-hour episodes that everybody watches and talks about?
You could probably do the show in podcast form, like the episode itself, right?
Right.
You can just listen to it instead of really watching.
Yeah, if you think about other podcasts that talk about TV shows, usually they tackle one episode per show. So I would imagine that's what the Cheaters cast would be. Yeah. Assuming that doesn't already exist somewhere. I personally have never checked, but there's a lot of Cheaters episodes because it was syndicated. So if someone did start that podcast, it would be very long running.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 569 episodes according to IMDb.
Really? I didn't even know it was that many.
Well, it's been on since 2000. So if it's still on now, it's been over 21 years. So it's like 21 years of Greco. You know?
So they have a best of. They have best of DVDs of the show. Like
yeah, I looked into that. I looked at. Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. No, because
Well, I looked into those. So, maybe I'll buy them for fun, but they're not that great. I hear they're just snippets. They're not full episodes.
Oh, they're not the episodes. That makes sense. Yeah.
It's like the craziest dates. It's like 5 minutes, or whatever happens.
Right, that's like they used to do that.
Oh wait, Blind Date. I was thinking of Blind Date name, but there's Cheaters DVDs and Blind Date DVDs. Sorry. So it's like.
No, I think it's the same thing because that's what they used to do with Jerry Springer, right? The whole Too Hot for TV.
Too Hot, yeah.
Yeah, I had those on VHS.
Yeah, we watched them. I've seen them. I didn't own them, but the video store. If we could, I was thinking of a way we could tie in Cheaters to video store memories. I didn't think it was possible, but here it is.
Okay, go for it.
The best video where we worked had the Jerry Springer tapes. The Too Hot for TV tapes.
Did.
And so I don't think you watched them, but with our group of friends, we did watch them, and what I'm wondering though about the Cheaters DVDs, though, what I feel like a big selling point would be uncensored. So do you happen to know if they're uncensored?
It says uncensored, though. One of the reviews said something about blurry. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I bought it, but after watching it was so much better without the blurry bars and bleep. You get it raw and uncensored. Good job. This was a 5-star review.
Oh, wow.
Baseball fan. Maybe I shouldn't be giving the person's handle on this.
I was going to say, is the username JGreco01?
No,
yeah. J Greco 69.
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's from 2013. So this is 8 years ago. There's some good 5 stars in here. There's some some said okay. But I already had this on.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I guess this one here that I'm looking at is it's the Best of Cheaters Uncensored First Edition, which I think might be different from the ones that are like Volume 1, Volume 2, because somebody is saying they actually got this set and had all of these on Volume 3. So it sounds like this is not as simple a thing as we think it is. Like you really got to dig in and know your cheaters to make sure you're getting the right DVDs here.
I mean, we might as well just do a Cheaters cast, because I think every single episode that you're here on our show and vice versa, we talk about cheaters. So it's just going to be like a running bit now.
Right, exactly.
I was looking up Joey Greco, and Joey Stephen Greco.
Stephen is the middle name.
Yeah, Joel Stephen Joey Greco. Yeah.
Oh, he's Joel. Okay.
He's Joel Greco now.
Is this a bid for seriousness?
Yeah, I guess so. And he has like a really serious picture going on his IMDb page. Mm-hmm. Like he has like a headshot.
Well, he's a serious guy. He really cares about snuffing out all these cheaters.
You gotta love the great names of the. I looked up on IMDb. You don't have the cheaters' names. Really, it just says episode 501.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't say like Crystal Jones or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these photos are all headshots.
Yeah,
they're like it's 7 headshots, and they're different. Like and I mean different times of He has
a beard now, Brett.
Oh,
he's with the beard, salt and pepper beard.
It's salt and pepper beard.
Yeah, he's done movies. It looks like, but it looks like in some cases he's done them as Joey. I don't know. He's got a filmography here though beyond Cheaters. He's done movies.
I see he's in the Janky Promoters, Brett.
Oh, he is. Oh, wow.
Now I'm not.
See, the problem
with
looking up, Cheaters related stuff on IMDb. The problem is if you look up Clark Gable, that might be a bit tough.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I'm Clark Gable. It's like, wait a second. How is he doing Cheaters now? It's like, right. From It Happened One Night to Cheaters. It's just like.
Beauty on the Bounty and
Yeah. The mind boggles.
Cheaters. Yeah.
Somehow he made it. He froze his head. He froze Clark Gable's head.
Oh no, he just had a really, really, really long career. That's all.
He's a Highlander, right? And that's like one of the reasons. That's why the Highlanders don't, right? Or I keep saying the Highlanders is the Immortals in Highlander. Like only Duncan and Connor were Highlanders, I guess, right? But right,
yeah.
In other words, were immortals. They just like lived a long time. But like it was the idea, right? You couldn't be famous because then when you never age for like 50 years or whatever, it's like
I think Adrian Paul and Christopher Lambert have aged pretty well for Highlanders. It's like
right, that's what he was saying. Yeah.
No, I know what you mean.
No, it is interesting, right? Because I think that was one of the things with the Highlanders, that because Adrian Paul was getting older, I think they had trouble probably like figuring out what they were going to do like later on, right? I think they kind of had to wrap up the whole thing because I guess it's one of those things.
The episode, I think it was season 4, it was called Finale. So I just stopped there after I watched all the episodes. Like, then they had another season. It's like, it's not gonna be as good.
Yeah, that was the smoke season, I think, right? With the evil smoke. That was do you remember that? It was like this evil smoke that would like permeate around, and it made Duncan evil. And then
it was getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is the problem with having a long-running Highlander show.
Right.
That's almost a contradiction in terms, because how, like you said, how are you going to not age if your show has like 500 episodes?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's an interesting conundrum that they probably didn't consider when they were doing a show about an immortal.
No.
You would think they would think of that.
Well, that's like why they had to come up with the whole idea of like the Watchers and the people that were like Watchers that killed immortals, because that monk that was on the show, I can't remember the actor's name who played the monk, but he actually died in real life, and it was like, what are we going to do about the fact that this guy's died in real life and that he's immortal and he lives in a church when immortals aren't supposed to be, that's the whole point, is that the immortals can't kill each other in a church. So they had to come up with that whole part of the plot to add in all of these characters and all that to make that work.
And the other guy, like that teenager kid, but he's like 25 years old now, so it's getting
yeah. Right.
Yeah, Bray got to start watching the show.
I think they dumped him for the same reason. I think it was like because the whole point, right, is if you're immortal, like once you die the first time, right, that's it. You never age after that point. And so he was getting older. I think they were like, we got to get rid of Richie. We got to dump him. I think spoiler alert, I think Duncan kills him with the smoke. Like the smoke makes him evil and he beheads Richie, I think is what happens.
Well, it's a good way to end it. I know it's a spoiler, Brett, but just like
that's okay. If I ever get to it, I'm not going to remember this. So
is there anything else we're going to talk about? Cheaters, though, with Clark Gable, gone off the cheater.
That reminds me, actually, we do have I think we have a segue with this.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I thought Piper was on a Highlander episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Am I right about that? So
I know.
Well, it would make sense, because isn't he known for wearing kilts and stuff?
He could have been one. I mean, he could have been a Highlander.
Yeah, I thought he was in an episode of Highlander. The problem with his filmography, as we start to discuss him, is that there are a whole bunch of wrestling things that are mixed in.
Tricky.
Yeah, you really, to dig into like what his movies are, and his acting parts. It's really hard to find where those were, because you're just there it is, Highlander. He was Anthony Galen in 1993. Yeah, mixed between
season 2. Yeah.
Season 2. Yeah, I remember that. Because I think Duncan said it was difficult doing the fight scenes with him because he was so big.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you'd swing the sword. It's like really hard to block and parry and all of those things when the big guy is wielding this thing at you.
Now I have a top 5. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh. No, I was going to say that is a perfect segue. That's all I was going to say. Going from one to
right, you
talking about Roddy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good. We got lucky on that one. I don't know how sure we can have a segue between Cheaters and Roddy Piper, but it's good we talked about Highlander instead.
Yeah. No, I think when we get into Piper, I think he's in both of our, like he's in the Hall of Fame and Hall of Heroes, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's one of the few that, or I don't know if it's a few. It's probably a good, but that he has the honor of being in both of our honorable, our what I don't know what the term is, our halls of fame. I guess.
Yeah.
I should look at that again, because that could probably give us more episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, so, well, that's what I do sometimes. I'll go through that and be like, hey, we haven't done this person yet, and so because we with our top 5 lists.
We still have to do Leo Fogg. I mean, I guess we have to kick that to the new year. But...
Oh, well, we will.
We will.
There's no doubt about it. We'll be getting to Leo Fong. I'm surprised it's been this long. I mean, we're such fans.
Yeah, I think with Fong, I think Bolo came in right and took over.
Yeah,
Bolo took over Fong.
And then we did a no subject in between there, I think, and yeah, it seems like Fong just keeps. Yeah, he's
Keep pushing back the Fong, but soon he'll be. he'll have his due and his day. So,
Yes, he will.
So I guess go ahead.
Oh, no,
so you want
who's going to start this off?
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, before we get into the list, like,
sure.
any kind of like thoughts on the Pipinator, like in terms of like, so I know for me, like he kind of got me into DTV films in part because I had a friend in college who, his friend, from his hometown, they wanted to watch every Piper DTV movie. That was like this thing that they were
That
on.
sounds fun.
Yeah, and this was like late '90s when I was kind of into DTV stuff, but that was one thing that kind of got. And so like later when my buddy and I were kind of getting into Dudikoff and Dolph in like the early 2000s, Piper was a natural like go-to to get into his stuff again.
That's a good point. It's like, you know what? Because Piper was huge in the wrestling games. Like, wait, Piper? All right, let's watch a Piper movie.
Yeah,
that's cool. And it's an awesome name.
Right.
Well, I mean, for me, I think like most people, I mean, it was They Live.
They Live.
The entree into all this, into loving Piper, and then it kind of just went from there. I think probably I'm not alone in that. I think most people saw They Live, loved it, and was just thrilled that he was in more movies after that. I mean, it could have been a one-off, but thankfully it wasn't.
That's a good point.
Found a home.
Sorry, I cut you off, Brett.
Oh no, he found a home doing DTV movies.
That's great. I mean, yeah, I think They Live, obviously, it was the first one I saw. And then, like, what is this? Tough and Deadly? That sounds like a good one.
That's true. And then Back in Action. I mean, those are I'm sure we'll be talking about those. But those are some of the bigger Piper titles.
Yeah, and I think, too, one of the things with Piper, because he, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. And, he passed 5 years ago. And I think he's not doing new movies, obviously, because he's passed away, but I think that's part of it. Is I think a lot of these guys, like Dolph, even Don the Dragon is doing new stuff. A lot of them are kicking out new movies right now, and I think that's one of the things unfortunately for Piper is that I think it would be interesting to see in this current DTV ecosystem if he would be getting some of these parts that some of these other guys are getting, even if it's not the lead or something like that. But
because. Yeah, I think we did watch a Piper as a supporting role, Brett. Remember Honor?
Yeah, well, I was going to say he worked kind of up to the end because that's a newer movie that he's in. I don't think we liked the movie all that much, but I think he was good in it.
He was good in it. What you got was good. And I got to ask you about the one Dolph thing, Matt. You said you might have bought Pups Alone, or what's going on with that one?
We didn't get there to that. So
okay.
I was considering it. So $5.99 is the rental price, and I was considering renting it just to see what it's like. I don't know how you guys feel about the the rental piece, because on the one hand you feel like, okay, I'm supporting whoever the artist is or whoever by spending the money, but on the other hand it's like there's just so much free stuff out there that I haven't seen yet.
That's a good point. I haven't bought anything on demand in years.
Yeah, I think most people just wait for the free version.
Yeah,
but then again, we do get stuff on disc from Netflix. Like we still have Netflix disc, so that's kind of like, I don't know if you call it a happy medium, but we're still paying for that. So so it's not like we're cheating anybody. Speaking of cheaters.
No, but you're right. Like in that case, because I think there's still some kind of a price, right? That Netflix, I wonder, right? Netflix must have to pay like something similar to a rental place fee to be able to get the DVD, right? They're not just going to Best Buy and buying up all the DVDs.
Yeah. Well, they must have some sort of wholesale deal, but who knows what's going on behind the scenes with Reed Hastings and how many DVDs he's buying, because I'm sure he buys them all personally.
Right. Well, because like the streaming sites like Tubi and them, the artist is still getting paid, and it's really just a matter of like, okay, how much do I care about the commercials? And Tubi, I think out of all of them, really is like kind of the best for commercials. Like they seem limited enough to me that I don't really even notice it when I'm watching them. And so then it's like Tubi has this massive selection, tons of stuff I haven't seen before, and it's like, okay, yeah, so I want to see this new Dolph, Pups Alone, and the other one too, I think is Castle Falls that he has now, which I think is
awesome. I want to see that because Scott Adkins.
Yeah, I've heard good things, and again, $6 is the rental fee, and it's like you kind of feel like, okay, if you support these things financially, then the studios will say, okay, let's pump out more of them, because
that's true. That's a good point, because I'm sure they look at those numbers.
Yeah.
They must look at on-demand numbers. That's true. People must buy movies on demand, or they wouldn't be on demand.
Right. Well, because I think the way it works is I think that the cable company kind of looks at who's buying them and says, okay, get us more of these Dolph Lundgren ones or something like that. I think, maybe that's how it works. I don't know.
Well, I was looking at the cast of Pups Alone. First of all, I looked at Pups Alone, and there's a picture of Dolph like sitting on a bed with hair curlers. Did you see this screenshot?
Yes.
It's like, I wear hair curlers. It's like, I mean, I obviously want to do more comedy, but it's just funny to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I see Malcolm McDowell, Danny Trejo, and Jennifer Love Hewitt, right, are also in this.
Are doing voice work. Yes.
They're doing voice work. Or Jennifer Love Hewitt's doing voice work.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's a talking dog movie, which that may turn some people off, which I get, so.
I mean, this Dolph. That's I want to see. I want to see Dolph talk to dogs.
Yeah, exactly. I think it could be interesting. So yeah, I mean, you're right. Like it's weird because the holiday season, Pups Alone might be do better in the holiday sense, but on the other hand, Castle Falls is probably more my speed. Like I tried watching some holiday films for the blog, and it is one of those things where man, just starting with the movie and just watching, the one I was trying to watch was something like Elfman with it had Wee Man from Jackass as a superhero.
Wee Man's making movies now.
Right, exactly. It was from I think it was from 8 years ago or so. It was from a long time ago, or maybe 5 or 6.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, it was on Tubi, and I started watching it. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. I got through the first 5 minutes, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. It's not gonna work for me. So.
Well, do you think a lot of people might have rented it because they thought it was a documentary about Danny Elfman?
That could be. Yes. Yeah, the moment that I didn't hear the Simpsons theme song, I realized okay, this isn't for me. Yeah.
But as far as Roddy,
go back to Roddy.
Yes, the Pipinator.
The Pipinator, the Pipester.
The Pipester. So yeah, why don't we just dive into the list then?
We're diving in, yeah.
Do you want to go with number 5 time?
Sure, I will do it. And our number 5 is Last to Surrender.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let me just double check. I don't have that one on my list. So
yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So this could be good. We're already starting off with a non overlap. So that's good.
So I think with Last to Surrender, my guess is that maybe certain producers saw that he was good, as an odd couple kind of guy when he teamed up with Billy Blanks for Tough and Deadly Back in Action. So I thought, okay, let's do this again. But he's the original odd couple with Han Su-ong.
Yes, that's correct.
And of course they don't get along. They have to team up. And Piper calls him, and I quote, Chinese takeout.
Yes.
That's his racial slur.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shut up, Chinese takeout. That's what he calls him. But then as time goes on and they go through some trials and tribulations, they learn to get along and maybe even love each other. Is that accurate?
That's 100% accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and of course, Han Su-ong was the baddie in Bloodsport 2. I think was that right? I can't remember what his character name was. It was Monster or Animal or something like that.
But here he gets to show another side because he's much more on the good guy side.
Yeah, he's like the straight man in a way. He's like normal. Roddy Piper's like the wild man.
Yes. Now, going back to your video store memories, I actually found this in a used DVD section of the local grocery store. That's how I got.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And what grocery store was it? What was the name of the grocery store?
Good question. Actually, for some reason, I just put local grocery store, which is not good. But I want to say it might have been like a Hannaford grocery store up in northern Maine. But it may have also been so actually what I'm seeing is I think I paid more for it used at the grocery store, and actually what I'm seeing is here it actually was cheaper at Best Buy and Walmart. So I found it a couple weeks later, new, cheaper than I paid for it used. It may have been Shaw's as well, so it could have been either Shaw's in kind of Portsmouth, New Hampshire area, or it may have been up in northern Maine at a Hannaford.
Well, at least maybe you paid a little more, but you were supporting more of a local type business than a Walmart.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I found my copy of Last Surrender on tape at Goodwill.
Yeah.
So it's Last Surrender looks cool. Cool title, man. It's and Roddy Piper. Yeah.
So I think that's a worthy 5th place.
Yes. It's going to find yours at the grocery store. What, DVD or tape?
The DVD? Yes, it was
That's
used
amazing.
DVD. I think it's one of those ones. A lot of times when you post VHSs on your Instagram, I think this is one of those ones that the DVD is just a straight port from the VHS, and they just take the cover and DVD sleeve and all that.
I'm not sure I posted that one yet because I think that my cover's kind of junky looking. It's like, I don't know if I want to post that yet.
Yeah, you may
not.
If I
have, I don't know.
One, but I think that's what this one is. I think it's the VHS that they just move it over and call it good.
Well, they used to have CDs at the grocery store, and I do remember buying CDs at Stop and Shop.
Do you remember CD you bought?
Yes, I bought the first David Bowie album, awesome. Which is just called David Bowie. I bought it at Stop and Shop, and also at least 1 or maybe 2 albums by Hanoi Rocks.
Wow,
that
was at Stop and Shop, or I call it Stop and Blop, but it's just like
yes, because they would have these sort of. I'm not sure what the word is. Not cut out because they weren't cut out, but lower priced CDs, and that were among them. Those were on all different days. That wasn't one day, but I would always check the CD, so it wasn't just Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli and all the stuff they might have now. They actually had an interesting CD selection at Stop and Shop at one time.
That's amazing.
I think that's blown my mind. Like Hanoi Rocks, 2 CDs from Hanoi Rocks that you found.
Yes. I swear, yes, that is the truth.
Amazing.
We can stop now.
Right, we can, right. That's it. Yeah, we're
done.
We'll wrap up the podcast here. Everything's So that's
CD memories or
music.
Music memories.
Totally do that. I mean,
what music memories? What would you call CD memories or music memories?
I don't know. Well, this is the first I've been encountering that question, but I mean, music memories. Yeah, it has an alliteration, but it's kind of not that interesting sounding. I don't know. I'd have to give it some thought.
I'll think it's something like maybe spinning the memories or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
A workshop. I mean, it is interesting with music thinking about that time because I mean, when I think grocery store, I think like malt shop classics, double CD of like doo-wop hits or something like that, which isn't horrible. I think that's great, but it doesn't not Hanoi Rocks or David Bowie's first album or anything like that. It's like some kind of collection of like ones they can easily get the rights to.
I can't explain it either, but it's the truth.
I just love hearing that. I mean, and now what's your number 5 for the Pipester, buddy?
My number 5. So I will say, Last to Surrender was a close call on me.
Oh, really?
So it didn't quite edge out this one here. Jungle Ground was my number 5.
Oh, Jungle Ground. Okay.
Yeah, that's on my honorable mentions.
Okay, you've got it as an honorable. So kind of almost switched here, right? Because Last to Surrender, I think, would have been close on an honorable mention for me. Yeah, I just think this one here, it's kind of like Piper mixed with the Warriors. I thought the baddie was good. I liked Tori Higginson from Stargate Atlantis as his girlfriend. I also kind of like the juxtaposition between the two of them. This one I actually bought on DVD along with Terminal Rush in Boston.
That's a Piper.
Yes, I think it was I think it was the Virgin Megastore now. So anybody who knows the Boston area, there's near the Heinz HCAT stop, or kind of on the kind of far end of Newbury Street, there's this like location that has been like numerous things. I think it was a Tower Records, it was a Virgin Megastore, an HMV. I think it became a TJ Maxx at one time. It's been a lot of different things over time. And but when it was when it was a Virgin Megastore, I was hanging out with some friends in Boston and saw Jungle Ground and Terminal Rush and picked them both up. Terminal Rush wasn't quite as good for me as this one, but yeah, that's how I ended up with both of them on DVD.
Now,
I love hearing that.
Yeah, that is a cool story. But now, Jungle Ground, that's not related in any way to Thunderground, right?
No, it's a different movie. At the sequel, Thunderground's a sequel to the movie called Busted Up.
Right. I knew there's some sort of connection.
Yeah,
there, but
because it has the same character. I forget his name right now.
Well, I mean, the original was played by Paul Kufos.
Yeah, Kufos is in Thunderground.
Because I've actually never seen Thunderground. I've seen Jungle Ground, but not Thunderground.
Hey, you can borrow from me later.
Okay.
Jungle Ground. That's a good one because it's like the Warriors. It's like racing against time to beat all the gangs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's very Canadian. So
I was gonna say that. Yeah, it's like a Canadian Warriors.
Yeah. Yeah, when people apologize, they're sorry. They're not sorry. And
Exactly.
when they sell the cocaine, right? I said in my post that they post it in bags, not bags. And if somebody announces that they're gay, they're oot. So yeah.
Yeah, which happens a lot in let's get Thunderground, Jungle Ground, whichever one.
It's basically the same title.
Right. Yeah, but I think this one, I kind of get with Last Surrender too. I mean, there I think with it's going to be interesting with our Piper list because I think we might kind of get some similarities here, but there's a lot more beyond I think our 5 that are fun ones. I think kind of testament to these 2 that we've both picked out here.
Because I have to rewatch Jungle Ground. Do I have a copy? I have Sci-Fighters. I know I don't have. Yeah, that's not on the list. Just spoiler, not on the list. After we see Jungle Ground, Brett, did we watch it from?
I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe we rented it from Video 7.
You did, yes. Okay, that sounds familiar.
I don't know if we mentioned that before, but there was a mom and pop, I guess you'd call it, independent video store in Shelton, Connecticut called Video 7.
Yep.
And right up until a few years ago, I mean, he was letting us rent stuff, but I don't know if he did it for anyone else. But he let us in. He let us rent things, and then that was one of them.
I remember that. We rented a lot of stuff there. I know we rented Chinatown Connection, Lee Majors II.
Oh
yes. So glad we got a chance to see that.
Well, if you guys are curious about Jungle Ground, you guys gave it 2.5 stars.
Oh, we did?
You did. You let's see.
Bits, huh?
And actually, funny. The very first thing you say in the second paragraph, Jungle Ground, not to be confused with Thunderground, is a deep Roddy outing. So you did like it. I think maybe you're being tougher on it at the time, but
yeah, probably.
But tougher on it from a star standpoint, but not from a review standpoint. But you did review it, so you and I were both kind of right next to each other on the list. Mitch didn't review it, just to people.
Oh, so close to getting the trifecta.
I know.
See, what's interesting though is Ty does the ratings. I write the reviews. We don't confer. So I could write it and then Ty could give it a star rating. Those two things aren't necessarily connected.
I read it and I kind of read it. I read it as a 2.5. That's how I read it.
So I mean, that's your interpretation, because I don't like giving things star ratings. I just can't do it. I find it a hard thing to do.
But we need to have some sort of gauge, right?
I agree. Yeah. But it's just something I have trouble doing.
Yeah.
Now I guess I'll go to number 4. It's the classic They Live, because I had to put the classic.
Okay, number 4 is okay. They Live.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Excellent.
I mean,
did you?
What more can we say that we haven't said?
Yeah. You gotta love it. He wears the sunglasses. Obey. It's
well, I mean, it's almost canon at this point. I mean, it's something everybody knows. Everyone's seen the imagery. It's almost like goes without explanation. But I guess to put on the glasses fight scene is one for the ages.
Oh, that's right. It's 25 minutes long, right?
Yeah. Which I think John Carpenter said he was influenced by John Ford, and there's some John Ford movie with a really long fight scene. He said he wanted to outdo it. So definitely has a classical inspiration.
That's awesome.
I wish Roddy Piper was in more John Carpenter movies.
I know. Tell me about it.
He got 1, I guess, but Kurt Russell got 4 or 5. So it's just
yeah, that's true. I mean, there definitely could have been a place for Piper in Escape from New York or.
Escape from L.A. or
Escape from L.A.
Well, Escape from L.A. Yeah. I watched that one. I think last year, 2 years ago. It was okay. Just cutting some slack. The surfing.
I think that the first, Escape from New York was campy, but it was the camp was not as overt as the camp in Escape from L.A.
Isn't that what happened with American Werewolf in Paris?
Yes, there's all these bonk sound effects in American Werewolf in Paris. Bonk. Tom Everett Scott bonks his head and goes bonk. It's what the heck is going on? Because in the commercial, the trailer, it looks serious. Oh, he's becoming a werewolf in Paris. Right. Watch out, Julie Delpy. And it's just never get to
I believe that was the exact narration from the commercial.
Yeah. I watched it. It's gonna be a serious movie. This is it. It's
bonk.
Bonk. spy.
See, I didn't watch it because of how serious when it was watching it. The seriousness, like, didn't it have like some kind of like it was kind of like doing this whole like sexy love thing too with Julie Delpy and like the music. I don't know what song it would have been, but maybe something by like.
It's a disaster of a movie a little bit because it's like there's the pacing and tone are all off, and you don't care.
I mean, the music would probably be by like Enigma or something like that.
Right. Wow, yeah, you got to Tom Everett Scott. I still have not seen it. I keep meaning to see what is it? Enemies.
Enemies Close. Oh, you never got to watch that yet?
I was going to say he did star with Van Damme. So
right, exactly. So I've been meaning to make that one happen, and I've got to do that at some point because I think it's just sitting there on IMDb TV, so I can watch it. So. Another one of those ones that's keeping me from watching Pups Alone, I guess, right?
So
maybe
many
Pups Alone will be on IMDb TV soon.
Right, exactly. Yeah, then I'll just watch it.
That'd just be funny. You just type in Pups Alone, available on IMDb TV. It's like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Right, did you watch Hard Night Falling? Speaking of Dolph.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes.
How was that?
So it's an interesting Dolph bait and switch because Dolph is the main character in the film. Mm-hmm. Yet they find ways to like just have him disappear for 20 minutes at a time. So it's not like the bait and switch is like oh, here's Bruce Willis's picture on the cover, but he's only in the movie for 5 minutes and 3 if you count the fake Shemps. So this is different where it's like no, Dolph is the main character. He's the head guy, but like he just it's kind of like Die Hard in a rich medieval mansion kind of thing. And so that's kind of how it works, but he's there fighting the baddies. He's the fly in the ointment character in the Die Hard.
I mean, it sounds good. I mean, it probably can't beat Command Performance.
No, definitely nowhere near Command Performance. There's no drumming or any. I don't think
I know.
Any. Yeah, unfortunately, but it's just this whole thing where you're just like, I thought this was a Dolph Lundgren movie, and you're looking at the slider part. It's like, yeah, I haven't seen him in 25 minutes, and then also Natalie Byrne is in it, and they don't really give her as much to do as like acceleration or something. She probably could have propped him up better if they'd given her more to do. But a lot of it was like baddies plotting things and talking about things and stuff.
Sounds like a disappointment, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I see it on the guide. I want to tape it. I don't want to tape it. Now it's like.
If you're a Dolph completist, you may just do it just to do it. And I mean, it is only 90 minutes, but that's what I took away from it. I was like, it was a very, if you're a connoisseur of bait and switches, it's actually a unique take on the bait and switch because it's like.
Well, that's what they call you, right? You're the bait and switch connoisseur.
Switch connoisseur, right? Exactly.
They're changing your name.
Well,
now.
Unfortunately, that's what we're all becoming in this modern day of DTV.
Exactly.
Almost inevitable. But if they're going to team up Dolph and Natalie Byrne, why not do it where they're like cops on the beat and they're like busting some heads?
Yeah,
of course not.
No, and that's the thing is that like you could have. There's like a couple nice Natalie Byrne fight scenes, which kind of makes you think like, why isn't she doing more of this? But a lot of it is really just like the baddie saying like, oh, let's break into this safe here. Or, how much time is it going to take to get into this safe here? And then it's like like talking to the hostage. You're not going to get away with this. Oh, I'm going to get away. Blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of that. And then it's like, oh, here comes Dolph to bust some people up. And then 20 minutes later, we don't see him, So, yeah.
If you ever watch these, I know we're talking about Roddy Piper, but I almost want to go back to Dolph for just one more second.
Yeah.
If you watch these old Dolph, I guess they're old, Dolph trailers of like Direct Contact and Direct Action and Command Performance, you watch them all in a row. He always has one liner like right at the end of the trailer, and it's like for Command Performance, like show's over. It's just like, and then like Direct Action's like I'm gonna get these cops or something. But you gotta love it.
Well, they want to leave you with something to.
I got hooked in. And it's like show's over. It's like.
Remember those Dolph movies? It was like this huge thing of like, oh, you put them in like your upcoming whatever that queue was like and it was like the moment it got moved into like the actual queue, it was like, oh man, I can't wait to check out this, and there'd be like a saved thing because like everybody was watching it, so you got to wait. But like that's the one thing like we're talking about like Castle Falls, like oh, do I want to spend $6 to see Castle Falls? And it's like 10 years ago that would have been like, who's gonna check out the Dolph movie first?
Exactly. That's a great point. Yeah, I was always trying to get the Command Performance or the Direct Action. Well, with Direct Action or Direct Contact.
Yes, yeah.
Or some movie where someone goes AOL.
Yeah, that was Direct Contact. I remember sending that to you, Matt, last year. I was like, what if he goes AOL? It's like, That's a good choice, I think.
Yeah, it's better than net zero. I mean, you get 1,000 free hours.
You can still find those tins. I wonder if they still work.
I can't. Well, the one is you'd have to have a computer that has a CD-ROM drive, right, to be able to.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
So.
But we need 1,000 free hours. Now we just pay every month like a sucker. But I want 1,000 free hours.
Right.
Because 24 hours is one day. So if you add more,
I don't think they were banking on that, and that was a total. That's out of left field.
Yeah, exactly. So get ready for some math, AOL. So it's like.
All right. So now that we've gone AOL,
we've gone AOL on this podcast.
Well, my number 4 is Tough and Deadly.
Okay.
The first of the Billy Blanks. I don't know if it's the first, but it's the first on my list of the Billy Blanks Piper duets or action duos. I think this one. It's just I don't know what there is to say about it other than it's just awesome. It's just it just does the trick.
Yeah, it delivers the goods.
Oh yeah, it's classic DTV action all the way. An original Odd Couple. You got that going for it. You got some really good action from what I remember. I believe this is the one with the McNamara brothers. Right?
I think that's Back in Action.
Oh, I always get that wrong.
I know.
Right. Yeah.
but in any case, there's that great scene. But this one does have the scene where they're fighting over the music.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to rap.
And Billy Blanks, I want to listen to rap. And then Piper keeps turning it off. And they, 'cause of course they don't get along. Hilarity ensues.
I think the one, I would say disappointment, but because Richard Norton is in Tough and Deadly, but really, from what I remember, he doesn't do much.
No.
He should have fought Billy Blanks.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been cool.
I think it's just kind of like, oh, there's Richard Norton is in this. Yeah. I didn't even write about why what happened there with him. I don't even know if I mentioned Richard. I said, we did have, I said, he only had 2 scenes and both of them, he did fight Billy Blanks, but it would have been nice to see him and Piper, especially
I
if
would
they were
see that.
Canadian tuxedos. I would have really loved to see that.
Yeah, that would have been something. And you'd think the filmmakers would have gotten wise to that.
Because like Richard Norton, he was in movies for years before he made Tough and Deadly, making fight movies. So a little bit of a disappointment, but at least he fought Billy Blanks. I'll take it.
Yeah, and let's not dwell on that quibble. I think overall the movie is very strong.
Oh, it delivers the goods. Yeah,
it delivers the goods.
And it's not on Blu-ray, right? It's only on tape still.
I don't believe so. No, I can check that.
Yeah, I've got it on tape. I
still have the tape.
Yeah, I think I've got it on tape as well because I think the cover that oh no, this looks like I did pull this cover maybe from IMDb.
No hot linking.
Yeah, exactly. With VHSs, sometimes if I have them, I'll just scan the VHS.
You can always scan it if you want to take our pictures. I don't really care either. So it's
yeah. Well, would I go to IMDb to get the cover because
I do the same.
Yeah, and then I try to get my own screen grabs just because I always have. What gets me sometimes with the screen grabs is sometimes like let's say I watch the movie on Netflix and then Netflix dumps it. Then it's like okay, I've got to like find the trailer online and get like whatever I can get from the trailer. And of course the trailer's like moving, like it's like split-second frames putting things in. So sometimes I just don't review the movie until it ends up on Tubi or something like that, and then I get the images and do it that way. So yeah, that's always it's always a difficult thing with these reviews, right? You gotta like with the way that the streaming system works now, it's like if I had the movie on VHS, it wouldn't matter. Like I've got my own cover that I can use.
As of this recording, neither Back in Action nor Tough and Deadly are on Blu-ray anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. Maybe it'll be a double feature because that's the double feature.
Well, Vinegar Syndrome, hello, that would be perfect for Vinegar Syndrome.
I mean, you could just see that they already released TC 2000, so we're right there.
Oh, good point.
And the Tiger Claws trilogy and Martial Law 1 and 2.
Yeah,
it's right there. It's like
it's right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah. So
I think it'll happen. It might happen next year. I can feel it.
Yeah.
No, I mean you make a great point. If they're already into the Billy Blanks like space at this point, if they did TC 2000.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel it like the Funky Bunch. Just like,
feel it.
Yeah, I feel it.
Well, because I think the same people that made TC 2000 and Tiger Claws, the movies, that same production company.
Jalal.
Yeah, so if Vinegar Syndrome has access to that, there might be
Right.
some great stuff coming. And
That's a really good point because TC2000, I think, is a universal release tape. Same with Tiger Claws.
but I believe Vinegar Syndrome has access to the vaults.
That's it's right there.
Yeah, so we may see that very soon,
Okay,
but who knows?
I think that would be fantastic. I mean, this one, it looks like Tough and Deadly, I think, is at least from the picture that I have, it's like MCA Universal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Release.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if they've got access to those movies, like
I believe they do.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So we're gonna get this. I just feel it. I keep saying that already, but I sense it.
But anyway, it's a great pick.
Yeah, excellent pick. Tough and Deadly, just a great movie just to watch with friends or by yourself.
Any scenario. And it's a good one if you really haven't delved too deep into the Piper catalog.
Oh, excellent point. That's a good starter after They Live or even before They Live.
Because just unless I'm wrong about my own history, I think after They Live, Tough and Deadly was the next one that I saw, and then it worked for me. So if it worked for me, I can only imagine it will work for anyone else.
Yeah.
So if you're just starting your Piper DTV journey, that's a great place to start.
And that was your number 4, Matt?
That was my 4. Yep.
All right, so for my number 3, I have Immortal Combat.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I don't have this one on my list at all. So.
Well, because it's Roddy Piper and Sonny Chiba and our buddy Malibu.
Malibu. Yeah.
So I had to make sure that was on here.
And if that cast isn't enough to draw you in, what would be?
Well, let's not forget about the part where Malibu wears a cummerbund or a tuxedo. He gets shot a bunch of times. Do you remember this part, Brett or Matt?
If I'm not mistaken, it's the cummerbund of the tuxedo.
Yeah.
With no shirt.
No
or
shirt.
Maybe a vest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. I mean, that started right in the beginning.
Possibly with a bow tie. Looks
like
very much like even a classier Chippendales, if such a thing is possible.
Yeah, it's Malibu's outfits in these movies. It's in and of itself. It's like enough. I mean, but the ways that he finds to not wear a shirt, to wear something, like around.
He rivals Lamas. Lamas.
Yeah. It's downright clever how they're able to skirt the shirt. I mean,
perfect. I wish I could get a title of this skirt the shirt. We should have our meatheads.
Right. Now, one of the things I know I wrote in my review of this about Malibu is that for some reason he was dubbed by somebody who doesn't sound anything or it didn't match what was happening in the movie or how the bird was
that's interesting.
Which is another level to it beyond the cummerbund and everything else.
It's almost like shirts were just, no matter what size the shirt is, it's too constricting and too uncomfortable, so they just kind of just dispensed with it. It's with your arms and chest need to be free, so we'll figure something out.
Right. Well, I mean, in Skyscraper, Malibu is wearing every part of the suit except for the shirt, and I guess not the coat, right? But he's got the vest, he's got the suit pants on, but he doesn't have, it's it's amazing, the kinds of Malibu's sartorial choices or whatever. I think from the night, I mean, that's just in and of itself is a thing of beauty.
I mean,
I agree completely, and that's worthy of maybe a small book or a pamphlet, or at least some sort of online picture gallery. Many outfits of Malibu. Or someone needs to do that.
If we ever did a podcast about Malibu, which we almost kind of did with the other podcasts, but
he was was he in one of our meatheads? Did we choose him as a meathead?
Yeah, I think he was a meathead, and you can call it Malibu Express or something, or
Malibu Express.
Actually, that's a pretty good idea, Ty.
Yeah,
we should do a Malibu podcast.
All right, we'll do that in the new year. I mean,
if we call it Malibu Express, it would be a good bait and switch one too, because people would be like, "Oh, they're talking about Andy Sidara's films," and then it's nope, it's Malibu. Yeah,
just the classic Malibu.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to write that down. We probably could talk about at some time.
Who, Sedaris?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, we haven't.
Oh, you're talking about the Boo. All right.
Either one, but the Boo. Yeah, that's what his friends call him. The apostrophe B.
Yeah, exactly. Apostrophe B U. Yeah.
Yes. Would it be would the B be capitalized at that point?
Yes.
It's
the
Mally is gone.
The Mally. I won't tell any other African countries about that.
Wait, let's talk about Mortal Kombat here. But it's
Yeah, but the power of Malibu is just so compelling.
It's great.
The title is amazing too. Immortal Combat.
Yeah, Combat. Because you got to remember, at the time in the 90s, the Mortal Kombat video game was red hot. So let's just keep this in context. So then along comes this DTV movie, Immortal Kombat. It's like, it's almost like doing it one better. It's like, you're Mortal Kombat. No. This is Immortal Kombat. Take that.
I think it's a different title.
Probably did.
Yeah.
I can look that up.
So,
you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll look that up.
All right, no problem.
Yeah, this was one that I thought I had seen on Monday Night Nitro. It was just interesting, because Piper at that time, when I was watching, when I was in college watching Monday Night Nitro, that was when Piper was in WCW at that time. He had just joined up with them, and I thought it was this movie. It turned out this wasn't it. I think it was one of the Billy Blanks ones that was actually.
Oh, interesting. I just love your life in the 90s because
you sound a lot like what's his name?
James Vanderbeek.
Yes.
I don't want your laugh from Varsity Blues.
Oh right, yes.
I don't want your laugh.
I don't want your laugh. Is that what he says? The John Boy, right?
The Voight, or someone.
Yeah.
You can't make that movie today because I watched it and it's like, okay, you can't do the bit with the whipped cream. I don't know if you've seen the movie, Brett.
I have not.
There's a part where this woman just has whipped cream all over herself. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't have all the MTV Green Day music on it anymore. So it's like, and James Vanderbeek's too old now to be a football player, so he can't make it anymore.
Right.
So it's like,
he was too old to be a football player when the movie came out.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
high school kid. I think he was like in his late 20s, and
I didn't say late 40s when he's making Dawson.
No, come on.
No, he's a great guy.
James Dawson Vander Creek III, as we would always call him. He went to middle school with our friend. He went to Cheshire Academy in Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
So they were in at least one, I guess it would be one graduating class together. I'm not sure, 7th or 8th grade. I'm not sure how this works, but they went to middle school together.
Wow. That's got to be amazing when it's like middle school, because like you knew somebody in middle school, and then you see a commercial for something like Dawson's Creek, and you're like, wait,
that's him.
Yeah, right, because
that's James.
Right, yeah.
And in that same graduating class was not just our friend Brendan and I keep wanting to say James Dawson Vander Creek III. I'm sorry, but James Vanderbeek, but also the rapper Talib Kweli. I don't know if you know him.
Wow. Oh,
he was in that same class.
What a lineup.
Yeah.
But what I was saying before is I love your life, Matt, because you're watching WCW in the 90s. You're probably having some Cheetos and soda, and you're just having a great time. And Roddy Piper meets right after.
Yeah.
So
you know what we were indulging in that was really, really bad was the union, the dining hall union at that time when I was a freshman, or I think it was when I was a freshman or sophomore. I think it was a sophomore when we were doing this. But the union had a mini Pizza Hut that sold like the cheesy breadsticks, and so a lot of times like when I'd come back from like late classes, I would pick up an order because you could use your dining funds to get it. So I had way too many of like those cheesy breadsticks from Domino's, or if not Pizza Hut, with like the marinara.
You're living the dream.
Well, so if you say a mini Pizza Hut, do you mean a mini Pizza Hut or a mini Pizza Hut?
Like a small, like a smaller scale.
Like a small hut.
Oh, okay. Just wanted
like a small
it all
hut.
depends on the tone of how you say that. It changes everything.
But it did only sell the mini pizzas. It only sold the personal pan pizzas, and then it also sold.
Didn't sell the full pizza. Okay.
Right. Yeah. You could only get like a personal one. You could, a lot of times you could ask for like if you want a pepperoni or something, but it took. I think it for me it was always like whatever they had, I would get that because I didn't want to wait for them to heat things up. I would just like grab something under the heat lamp. Good for me. But
we had to go watch Mortal Kombat. You guys
exactly.
had time to wait.
It was like a big thing. Like I've got to get back. We would my buddy and I would like it was because it was like a whole like joke thing. Like we would watch like at that time I think it was Diamond Dallas Page had won the belt, like the championship belt, and one of the Monday night episodes he lost in the early part of the episode and then came back and won, like beat the person again later because you can't transfer belts right unless it's a paper.
Oh, okay, didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's still a rule. They probably changed it in the past 20 years, but so that was the thing. Like the belt changed hands within the episode, so he still ends up with it at the end. And like he would like walk around saying that he was the 2-time champ at that point because he had won the belt and lost it and won it again, which didn't make any sense to me. Like the fact that you can lose and win and that makes it better. That you know. So he was just like, but he would like use this high pitched voice to be like, "I'm the 2-time champ," and so we used to say that about like everything that it was being, yeah, I got it 2 times, and just like all that kind of stuff. And then that was also the Hollywood Hulk Hogan time. That was when he was like,
I was about to mention that.
Yeah, the NWO and all that stuff. And so like you'd have like all that stuff, and then they would do that Mortal Kombat TV series that had like Daniel Bernhardt and Christina Loken in it.
I still have to watch that. I have the series.
Yeah.
But I mean, wait, Brett, didn't Mortal Kombat have another title?
Oh, yes. The one you're probably thinking of is Resort to Kill.
That was also what it was called?
Yeah, it was called Resort to Kill. I do like the German title, though. In Germany, it was called Ready to Kill, Battle of the Ninja.
That's a great title. That could be 2 different movies.
Yeah, but this is Ready to Kill, Battle of the Ninja. So
that's
I think
amazing.
It's a cool title, but
it's one of the best. Like that's the kind of thing that I think somebody making a movie today that was trying to like make an ironic like action movie would call it that. And
Right.
yeah, but at that time it was not ironic at all. But
yeah,
but also in Germany, Japan, UK, and US, it was called Resort to Kill. So that's really the only other title there is.
It makes sense. I think they're on a boat,
Well, they're at a resort. I mean,
they're
so it's
at a
resort,
resort,
kind of a title.
Yeah.
But what's interesting though is this re-teams him with Meg Foster from They Live. So someone was probably thinking about that. And also, let's not forget that Tiny Lister is also in the movie.
Yeah.
And Sonny Chiba.
Yeah, and Sonny Chiba.
Yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things with those mid-90s actioners. You would get these really great casts like this, where you just get all of these names like that. And a lot of times they weren't bait and switches. Sometimes they were, like we were talking about with Richard Norton being a bait and switch. But it kind of just made the film more fun. I think nowadays these things seem much more cynical, right? It just seems like, let's get, one day of shooting with Bruce Willis and have him sleepwalk through the movie. But these tended to be more fun. And it was like, oh yeah, sorry, we got Tiny Lister in here, and here's Malibu.
Yeah, you're right. No, that's a good point. It was more like a cavalcade of stars type of thing,
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it's nice to see Tiny Lister, nice to see Malibu. Now I think I kind of cut you off there, Matt, about Hollywood Hulk Hogan or WCW.
Well, no, it's like there was the Mortal Kombat TV series.
Oh, right, go ahead.
That they would do these movies, and that's where like a lot of these DTV films like this would be in like the movie. Somebody referred to it as like the movie block of Monday Night Nitro. It was like you do like the wrestling piece, and they would do movies like Jerry Trimble's Terminator Woman. That was one with Karen Shepard. I saw that during the Monday Night Nitro block. The movie
That's
block.
really cool.
Yeah, Cyberjack.
Eliminator Woman, or whatever I have the title.
Exactly. Yeah, that one, and was Cyberjack with is that what it was? It was also Virtual Assassin. Right.
Oh, sorry, Assassin. Right.
Yeah,
which one did you say, Brett? Virtual what?
Oh, I said Virtual Combat. That different movie.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's Don the Dragon, right?
Yeah, that's Don the Dragon.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of virtual stuff in the 90s, as we've said many times.
Well, Rip Taylor was in Virtual Combat.
The Rip Taylor head made that movie. That was like I don't think that would. I don't know if there were any Don. I think there might have been though. I think you'd see like maybe a Blood Fist or something in there. I mean, it's the kind of thing that you wish we had on TV nowadays. That
That's a great point. You barely see these movies anymore on TV.
Yeah.
They're barely on streaming.
On the Spanish
Except for what?
They are still on.
Yeah.
But no one ever checks those.
See, why can't we, we have to press SAP, why can't we go to English for the Spanish channels?
Yeah, that's a great point. You think it would go both ways.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because they play all sorts of action movies on the Spanish channels. I think that, I don't know where they're out of, like Mexico or Spain or wherever they come from. They love action.
Yeah.
They definitely played Shadow Warriors 1 or 2. That's what Carl Weathers.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So I watched it a little bit.
All the time they're playing all the blood sport, kickboxer.
Yeah, that was great to see on the guide. So.
Yeah, it's a shame because a lot of times I'll look up an actor on the Comcast box, and they'll show me all the films, and they'll be like, oh, upcoming, when the shows are, and it's always it's like these Spanish channels, especially in the upper reaches that a lot of Seagal, they play a lot of Seagal and stuff like that.
Oh, they love Seagal.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame that we don't get a lot of those. But I think part of it is that I guess they must think that we're just want to, in America, all we want to do is binge, Community or whatever TV show.
Well, probably.
Dexter.
I mean, the first season's good of Community. And well, that's a different thing. So, so what's your number 3?
So we're getting back to Blanks and Piper. Back in Action is my number.
Yes.
All right, excellent choice.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
And
that's
I
on
don't
the
know
list.
Why this one edged out the other one on my list of between the two. I think there was just a little bit more in Back in Action.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the climax is great. This one does have the McNamara, so that would put it over the top.
Yeah.
You got the bit with Billy Blanks with 2 machine guns shooting everyone, yelling, ah!
I think in slow motion at one point.
In slow motion, yeah.
That
he's on a boat.
Grabs.
Yeah. He's on a boat, yeah.
That's I've got the screen grab of that, yeah.
You do, because
awesome.
he's like...
I mean, that's direct-to-video action at its absolute height.
Yeah, you can't get any better than that. Like, that's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it just all around. You just got Piper on TV talking about things. Yeah, I think now is Back in Action isn't the one, right, where they fight over the music. That was the previous one.
That was Tough and Deadly.
I believe that was Tough and Deadly, but there might be something similar in Back in Action.
I think they fight each other, right, in like a bar. I think that was in Back in Action.
Well, that would make sense.
A Canadian bar.
Yeah, but am I wrong in thinking that Back in Action came first?
It did.
It did, yeah.
Which, okay, because I remember thinking that's very weird that the first of the two is called Back in Action. Like, how are they back? They just showed up.
No, they're back.
Well, it's like how when Backstreet's Back, that I think their first single was Backstreet's Back. Like, how are you back?
Where'd you go?
Just showed up.
I think Piper and Blanks had really great chemistry as leads, and I think it's part of the thing maybe with DTV that, like, I guess unless you're kind of doing a franchise or something like that, for whatever reason, I think I'm trying to think too with Billy Blanks when he started doing the Ty Bo stuff, like it was like maybe 4 or 5 years after this that he wasn't really doing any acting anymore for the most part. So who knows why it was just these 2 movies, but they are just absolutely fantastic.
Yes,
people need to watch them right away. Yeah, those are my 2 and 1 slots, respectively.
Oh, okay.
Tough and Deadly.
So we did kind of talk about them, kind of thoroughly.
Okay.
I'll just tell. Yeah.
Well, so my number 2 is Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Okay, that's a good choice. Interesting choice.
Yeah, and not to keep mentioning Vinegar Syndrome, but they released that.
Yeah.
So,
do you have that, Brett, or no?
No, I don't. But the box of it is really cool. It kind of like separates, like it's like a V, and the V kind of separates. It's hard to explain, but the packaging they went with was very cool. I just didn't buy it because, I mean, maybe Matt will convince me, but I was never that big a fan of Hell Comes to Frogtown.
I mean, I enjoyed it when I first watched. I've seen it about, I think, 1 or 2 times. So
yeah, it's definitely.
But have you seen Return to Frogtown?
No,
Robert Zadar?
Yes,
yeah.
I haven't been able to find that anywhere. I've been looking all over for it. I mean, just the Robert Zadar factor alone, I think. I don't know if he's another list guy that we want to consider like Robert Zadar.
Oh, that's it. I definitely we could do a Robert Zadar show.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we got 2 episodes coming up soon. Then.
Well, Ty, you got to remember these and write them down.
Will do.
Yeah, good old Zadarj. He's, it's interesting with Hell Comes to Frogtown. I think, just the idea of frog people, I think, is just so ridiculous to me. That worked, and then this whole thing, like the women rule and men are sterile, and it's just and then Piper just happens to be fertile, and so these guys, they give him like the government issued chastity belt that he has to have.
I do remember that now. Yeah. I think it's a good kind of action comedy kind of thing, just for fun,
Right, exactly. But I also kind of get with Tough and Deadly and Back in Action how those are much more like straight ahead 90s actioners, where it's just like you just kind of fire those up. Like, one thing I can kind of agree with you both on with Hell Comes to Frogtown, maybe in a sense that it's almost like there's like a certain mood that you need to be in to watch this movie.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think those 2, Tough and Deadly and Back in Action, are your classic, like
your go-tos, right?
Yeah, just throw in an action film and watch it and have fun.
Yeah, I mean, his name is Sam Hell, so Hell does go to Frogtown. I mean, it's also a very literal title. But this was around the
Brett
time.
Hell, Brett.
Sure. This was around the time of movies like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and maybe to a certain extent Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. So if you enjoy those, you'll probably enjoy this. It's just I remember thinking it was, for what it was, maybe a little blander than it really should have been. But that's just my memory. I could be wrong.
Well, it doesn't have the action level for sure that Tough and Deadly and Back in Action have, where it's just like, and I think the other thing too, maybe, you could also make the point that one thing that makes those other two better too, depending on what person's mood is in, is that you've got like two guys that are just really getting after it. And I think a lot of the ones actually on both of our lists, a lot of them are Piper with somebody else really just doing it. Which
that's a good point. It's all like he's teamed up with someone.
Yeah, and he was great with tag team stuff. When remember WrestleMania that he did with was it Hulk Hogan and Mr. T against Piper with somebody else? I can't remember how that worked. And he's like whipping somebody with, I think he was whipping Mr. T with a belt or something. I think it was WrestleMania 3. I can't remember, but yeah.
Is that the one with Liberace?
I think so. Yes, I think it is.
And Liberace. It's like, Liberace at WrestleMania.
Yeah, WrestleManias back then, like watching like those early '80s ones. Because one of the things that's kind of interesting with WrestleMania when I was growing up is that my birthday falls right around WrestleMania. It's on April 1st. So that was sometimes like my birthday thing. Is that like I might have like a friend over, and my parents would rent WrestleMania for us, and get pizza or whatever. So like those earlier WrestleManias, I always kind of like. They're just something. I mean, the '83, I was way too young for that. I wasn't like a 4-year-old, renting. But I would go to the video store and rent them after. And I think that's maybe part of the charm with Piper is that he was such a fun wrestler too.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So he brought the fun to his movies too. He has screen presence.
Yeah,
or had screen presence. But
I mean, he might be the best actor. I was gonna say he might be the best actor out of all the wrestlers.
Well, Hulk Hogan's pretty good.
I don't know.
Well, we saw him
got to be in Thunder in Paradise and have a syndicated show. I mean, don't you think Piper could have done that
would have been great.
But Ty, is that it for our list?
Well, because we were talking about Back in Action, Tough and Deadly. I'm out. Unless you want to talk about my honorable mention, Jungle Ground, and I have one more. Do you want me to say it now, or?
The only other one I have, my number one is They Live. We've already talked about that as well. So I think I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm a lot of bubble gum. I think but this is a great line. Like you said, the fight with Keith David, right?
Not Keith David, yeah.
David, yeah. I was talking with.
Are you gonna say David Keith?
Yeah, I think I was talking with Will from Exploding Helicopter about Raw Justice, and I was like, is it Keith David or David Keith who's in that with And I couldn't think of and
I had that same problem.
Yeah.
I think they're in a movie together. David Keith and Keith David. I think they're in Behind Enemy Lines 2. Or Axis of
I wonder
Evil.
if that was confusing for anyone as they worked on that movie.
Yeah, on the old call sheet, as you talk about. To double check them. I thought they were in the same movie finally.
Well, too bad, they didn't get like a poster, like a Wesley and Woody kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because then how would they do that? Would say
David and David. Or David and Keith or something like that, yeah.
When you look up Keith David Keith shows up as the second result when you look him up on IMDb.
That must be confusing for the algorithm of IMDb.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with that. So let me look credited with him. Let's see if he's done Keith David and David Keith, and let's see what we get.
I remember you used to be able to do that in IMDb. I don't know if you still can.
I thought they're in the same movie. I could be wrong. So
yeah, you have to fish for it. It's like off on the side, and it said no results. Interesting.
Oh, okay, so I was wrong then. Okay, so no result. That's unfortunate. Maybe because it's too confusing.
Yeah.
But remember on IMDb, you used to be able to have there was a field that said starred with or something.
Yes, I love that.
I wonder if there's more than one Keith David, because this one says Keith David 1.
Was there Keith David 2 or Keith David 5?
Yeah, there's multiple David Keiths.
So maybe it's his son. It's like Lee Majors the second.
Yeah. I'll have to look and see which David Keith is the right one, because wait, yeah, he's that. Oh no, he's David Keith 1. Yeah, so I guess whatever.
David Keith 1.
Yeah.
Well, he should be 1. I mean, he's the one.
David Keith.
You gotta love it.
Excellent.
But my honorable mention is No Contest.
Nice.
No Contest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a close one because he plays Ice, but it's a supporting character role. So
Right.
Tweed versus Andrew Clay, Shannon Tweed.
Right, not Tracy.
Not Tracy Tweed. Shannon Tweed versus Andrew Clay. No dice. So, it says it right on the cover. Andrew Clay. It's like,
yeah.
Wow. Made for seriousness.
Yeah. But he acted like the Clayster.
Well, he no matter what he's in, he's the Clayster. I mean, look at Point Doom or Whatever It Takes.
Yeah. Yeah, Whatever It Takes. Takes more than muscle.
Matt, have you seen Whatever It Takes?
I have, yeah. So that's another one of those ones that I was talking about where Ty has the VHS and my DVD is identical. It's just like they just ported it right over. The cover looks.
Oh yeah, okay, yes. I remember this conversation because you were saying how we each own it and we each own it on 3 different formats.
Yeah.
Ty has the tape, you have the DVD, and I have the Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's like
of Whatever It Takes.
You only got another person who has the laser if that was available.
Yeah, and that was. I mean, it came out on Pioneer, so there is a really good chance there is a laser, probably in Japan.
Yep, of course.
That would be amazing if there. Yeah.
So I'm fresh out of pipes. It's just like.
Yeah. So we talked about Last to Surrender. That was my last one that didn't quite make the list.
To Surrender.
Yeah. Right, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think the two big, I think probably the two biggest ones on both of our lists was the two Billy Blanks ones. I think
definitely.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like they're easy to find. I have a hunch they're on YouTube. If I were to hazard a guess, but
if people could check those out, that'd be great because they're just pure fun.
Yeah, I think when you're looking for action movies from I think what a lot of people come to our podcasts for, it's this kind of movie, and
that's
so
a good point. Yeah, we try to give them the best recommendations if people haven't seen them. So that could also be another episode, like maybe the top 5 best action movies of the 90s. Just the unsung
recommended movies that are underrated that no one ever talks about.
Exactly, the unsung movies,
Yes, unsung movies. Okay, so that's like 2 more show ideas.
Yes.
So we have a lot.
Yeah, both of these are available on YouTube, so people can go in, look them up. They come up full ones. Actually, it's showing the brothers in Back in Action, the mustache, the McNamara brothers.
We called them the Karate Brothers at first, because they both kind of look like Mario. But but really, they're the McNamaras from such great movies as Twin Dragon Encounter and
Dragon Hunt.
Dragon Hunt.
Yeah, what an excellent fight scene there. Just the
that was
two
really
of them show up and destroy Billy Blank's apartment, and Billy Blanks is fighting in like Calvin Klein's or something like that, and they're fighting in like these zebra Zubaz pants with the thong tank top type things that kind of
well, that's the 90s.
Yeah, it's just absolute mullets and mustaches. It's just it really was. I think 95, I think, like you guys have talked about before, I think it's like, you get like kind of late 80s-ish, like 87, 86, 87. Things just start to ramp up. And then it seems like 95 is kind of the apex. And then the water, the wave crests a bit. And that's when you start to get like 96, it starts to go down a bit. I think that's where you start to see the quality dip. And then by the time you hit like 2000, it's like, you're scraping. Yeah, trying to find something.
Bottom. No, I completely agree with what you just said. I mean, almost to the syllable. Yeah, it peaks in 95. Things start to go down. It's like a bell curve. The top of the curve is 95. Then it slide, comes down the other side of the curve until you're into the dregs of. I mean, not to say there weren't still good movies being made, but it was not a movement.
Something about it was off.
Yeah, it was off. The golden time was over, but that's how things go. I mean, that's how it is with lots of things. So we couldn't expect the golden age of DTV to last forever.
We got a good like 10 years,
Yeah.
So maybe even longer if you want to push some of the 2000s, But it kind of, if you use Lamas as an example, he had Blood for Blood, Bounty Tracker, Bad Blood, all like in a row. Then he fell off of Black Dawn, or what it's called, or Good Cop, Bad Cop. Like, that's not as good. This ain't no good. The Simpsons.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to use anyone for an illustration, I think Lamas is a pretty ideal.
Yeah, because he had all these classics, and of course he had Renegade.
Right.
So, and then he had these kind of weak directed. Oh, The Debt.
Yes.
So it's like, I know it's nice to see Lamas. It's fun to watch him act, but these aren't Blood for Blood. This is not Bad for Blood here or Bad Blood here. So with the super jump.
Well, of course, we can barely let a podcast go by without mentioning that.
Okay, we do mention that every podcast.
Well, because it is a fantastic thing. It just it's because again, when we talk about Lamas and that jump, it comes out of nowhere. It's just like, it's not like a situation where like he's like kind of like he crouches down and he jumps up or anything like that. It's just like here comes a car and then Lamas just goes way up in the air, kind of turns over while he's in the air. It just
he turns over,
and there's no indication before that scene that he has any sort of supernatural abilities or anything. You're right, it just sort of happens.
Right. See, I just started watching The Sentinel. That's that show in the 90s with Richard Burgi, and he has these extra sensory, like smell and sight. He could do the jump, maybe. But
not Viper.
Not Viper. Oh, Viper. Viper.
Well, Viper. I mean. Was that Travis Blackstone?
Yeah, it's Travis Blackstone, one of the greatest names for Lamas. Besides Reno Reigns and Vince Black.
Vince Black. That was great. And that's the thing, too. Those movies used to be on Netflix Instant. When Netflix Instant first came out, there were a lot of great ones on there. Tubi seems to be picking up some of those, but, I mean, one thing does help. It seems like YouTube is getting more of these movies, and I think maybe it's because... Yeah, I think it's at least you have something there to be able to watch these for people. But it would be nice, like if at the very least Tubi could get a hold of them, or something like that.
Well, yeah, because it's that company FilmRise that seems to have the rights to a lot of these. And but see, the question is, there's the two versions of Viper or Bad Blood. Yeah, so you want to make sure that these streaming services have the right one.
Yeah, Viper is the uncut version.
Yeah, I found that. What was it? We were talking about Ty with John Wick. I was thinking about doing John Wick, and you were like, no, it's the USA TV version. And I think it
can't watch that.
Cut like 15 minutes out. Or something.
I can't watch USA Network.
Right, exactly. I have to watch that at some point. I feel like I can't be talking about action movies and not have seen John Wick, but yeah,
you'll get to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, right. Because I'm not renting them, as we talked about earlier. Nobody's renting anything.
I think the last thing about Piper is that he always delivered the goods. He was always fun to watch. So
I had a lot of energy. I know you like people that are high energy and
high energy. He always had high energy.
And Roderick definitely seemed to do that.
Roderick, so Roderick Piper, the Pipinator. It's like
all these are pipes.
The pipes.
Pipes. Get me.
Well, I think we have a. I mean, we have the title. If you want to use Pay the Piper.
I like that one. Yeah, I like. Yeah, because a lot of times when I have you guys on, I try to do like a title because you guys always have great titles for yours, and so, what was the last? Well, I know we had Ginty More Beef Stew. I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's your classic. Yeah,
that's your classic. So it's kind of like it's the best of both worlds. It's like a title kind of like ours, but the Ginty More Beef Stew is your invention, so it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Right, exactly.
I know you On the Wings of Love and
right, The Wings of Love.
Right, for Wings Hauser, yeah. And I know you guys have great ones. What was the Jerry Trimble one? Was it Jack?
Jack
B. Trimble, yeah.
Jack B. Trimble, yeah.
And Bolo was Bolo for Bolo.
Bolo for Bolo, and drawing of blanks.
Drawing of.
That's right. Yeah, that's right too. Because I think Jerry Trimble actually liked the Jerry Trimble episode.
That's great.
Yeah, did you see that on Twitter? He was like,
"Yes, I did."
Yeah, that was amazing.
Maybe listen to
it. That is unbelievable, and I wish we could have interviewed him.
No,
if we were fans, there were no negative things about the Golden Boy.
So maybe it's not too late. Maybe someday we could. Ty, did you try to reach out to him or something? Or
I reached out to Keely McClung of Stick Fighter fame. Well, which you got to watch, Matt, if you haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I would say to drop nothing you could possibly be that could be coming up in any sort of list or pile of yours is going to be better than Stick Fighter. You have to watch it.
We haven't said that lately, so I guess we got to say it again because it's really great.
Yeah. What was the one that the other one too that I found out was on YouTube streaming, or that was on YouTube that I absolutely had to watch? That was I think
I think it was a Sean Donahue. It might have been Parole Violators.
Oh, was it Parole Violators or was it Rough Cut?
I think it was Rough Cut. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was something that had like had big names in it that I hadn't seen yet. Yeah, I cannot. It was like I haven't watched it yet, but I put it in my YouTube queue because somebody was like, "Oh, it's on YouTube. You got to and I had been meaning to see it forever, and maybe it was Rough Cut.
Wait, was it Ground Rules? Because that has Frank Stallone, Sean Donahue, and Richard Lynch.
Let's see my
You can check right now. It's pretty quick. It's pretty good technology.
I think we talked about doing a show about the Donahues.
Yes, we absolutely. That's on my list of shows.
And did you add?
If you want me to add it right now, I can. It's on live radio.
It was Malibu.
Okay, if you give me a second, I can do it right now. Just give me one more second here. Okay, so wait, we got Zadar,
Malibu, like the underappreciated gems.
Yeah,
Unsung Gems, and there was,
what was the other one?
It was something like that. It was like the top movies.
That wasn't it. Oh, okay, that's two separate bits. Okay,
I thought so.
That's
you have to go back and listen to this episode because it's on tape. So just listen to it.
It's on tape. Yeah. Okay, so wow, we got a lot coming up. So
yeah, and the one that I had been looking for, it was Double Target. The
you got to watch that.
Yes, Miles O'Keefe. I haven't done. I've been like, I'm definitely not Miles O'Keefe on the site. It's more like like feet or inches of Keefe at this point. It's Miles O'Keefe.
You gotta get some more O'Keefe on your site. I mean, you gotta watch The Hard Way.
I was gonna say the Henry Silva one, which you gotta watch that too.
Yeah. He's in my the Hall of Fame. And he just I think sometimes it was hard getting his movies, but
they're a little trickier, yeah.
Well, it definitely was hard to get him because he worked in Europe a lot, and a lot of those movies never came out here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that period of his career is not very well represented. Well, it wasn't, during the video store era.
Yeah. I mean, the Ator thing, I think on MS3K, the Cave Dwellers, I think helped a little bit, but I don't think it helped enough because I think it was more like people wanted to see Ator. They didn't want to see Miles O'Keefe and other things.
Exactly. All right. Well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the end of that.
I think we're at the plugs. We're at that.
We're at the plugs.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Plugs.
Comeuppance.net.
Yeah, the website, and then we have the podcast.
Start with that.
Yeah. There's the website, comeuppance.net, the podcast.
Which is called the Comeuppance Reviews Podcast.
Yep, done anywhere you can find podcasts. We got Ty Action Rocks on Instagram, Ty Comeuppance on Twitter, and we're on Facebook under the website name. So,
excellent. Yeah. And I think all these movies that we've talked about, I think if they go on to IMDb, your Comeuppance Reviews is going to show up as a external review.
Mostly, I think everyone we said except for They Live, maybe.
Yeah, I think
I don't think we ever reviewed They Live because it wasn't direct to video, and we try to stick with.
Try to stick to the unsung Roddy.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and just quick plugs on my end. Just the site dtvconnoisseur.blogspot.com. You can find the links to everything there on here. So
excellent.
And,
well, thanks for having us on again.
Yeah, thanks again.
Yeah.
Thanks again for guys for coming on. This was another fun one. I think.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Talking. Well, and we have some new show ideas. That's great.
Exactly. We've given everybody a lot of pipes to go take a look at. So
the pipes are calling, so we got to go.
Yes. Many lengths of pipe.
Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Hear that? That's the sound of a patient whose health data is protected from a cyber attack. And that's the sound of a financial system that's digitally secured from bad actors. Right now, there's an invisible war being fought on a digital battlefield that impacts what we do every day. That's why at Peraton, we do the can't be done to help protect the vital systems we rely on. Because if we don't, the alternative is unimaginable. Peraton,